Shall we shall we get after it? Let's get after it. Okay, so today's conversation, I wanted to share with you um, some focus around a specific concept when it comes to focus and productivity. And and yet, like before we go in there, I want to like preface or prime the conversation around just the mindset around creating focus and productivity. Um, Personally, one of my biggest opportunities is focus. And for me, the way that that manifests is through boredom. And the way that I attack boredom is by just creating chaos, creating another project, taking something on. As soon as somebody's like, hey, do you think you'd be willing to or able to? I'm always like, yes, because that's exciting. And it allows me to get out of the boredom of having to focus on the thing that I committed to, which I don't want to do anymore because now it's boring because we've already done it for a while. And even though it's producing results, I don't want to do it because it's boring. And I feel like exciting will be even more productive. And if not, it's okay. It's exciting. And so I tend to create chaos because chaos is fun and it makes you feel like you're doing something when sometimes you are, but most often we're not, right? And so uh Alex Hermosi put together this really cool video, and I'm gonna for the next couple calls, I'm gonna be pulling some snippets out of it. And if you've seen it, cool. And if you haven't seen it, I'll link it, sometime soon, so you're not working ahead, and you'll come back for more. And I'm gonna share like three specific principles out of like the 12 that he shared today. And he said, so starting off the call, and he's like, if you want to really like win this year, we're going to go over like these 12 truths when it comes to having your best life, when it comes to performance, productivity, optimization, all the thing. And he says, number one, he says, pain is the price of progress. Pain is the price of progress. And he just said, just take a look at physiologically what happens through the act of growth, right? Growth is, in definition, stretching past comfort. The moment you go past comfort is when growth happens. Growth begins where we break something down to build it back up, to stretch it past its current capacity, to increase capacity, to we run further and harder in order to be able to run further and harder, right? Like our bodies adapt to stress, pressure, and pain. And he said his life changed when he had to flip his switch in his mind and stop wishing things were easier, but constantly looking for the challenge. And he says, when I flipped my mind around leaning into hard work, my results skyrocketed because I wasn't focused about trying to get the results. I was focused on making sure that I wasn't skipping a corner or doing just what's comfortable. He has a phrase that said that's really, really good. I may get it tattooed. I don't know. Like it's that good. And he said, stop doing your best. Do what's required, because sometimes what's required is more than your best. And oftentimes we grew up in a very gentle parenting household. And I have this challenge with my wife all the time. She goes to my daughter, she goes, I just want you to have fun. And I go, that's fair, but there's nothing more fun than winning. So let's win. And how do we win? We do what's required, not just your best, because sometimes it's going to require more than your best. Sometimes it's going to require extra, right? And if I were to ask everybody at the beginning of this call, raise your hand if you really wish to have an extraordinary life. Like, do you wish to have an extraordinary life? Do you wish to have an extraordinary business? Do you wish to have extraordinary relationships? Do you wish to have an extraordinary bank account? I do. In that word is extraordinary. And so the thing is to normal people, to ordinary people, what it's going to take to have an extraordinary life is extra. Not what you're comfortable with, not what you want to do, not what's easy, not your best. To have an extraordinary life, we've got to push ourselves into extra. Is that extra going to be comfortable? No, because it's going to be stretching us outside of ordinary. And guess what? Along with that comes criticism. comes judgment, that comes the fear of looking different, the fear of being outside of the norm. And isn't that the goal? You all raised your hand to have an extraordinary life and have an extraordinary relationship and have an extraordinary business, which means if you feel ordinary or the ordinary people approve of you, you're not having an extraordinary life. One of the number one ways to know if you're having an extraordinary life or an extraordinary business or an extraordinary relationship is that it makes normal people uncomfortable because of the things that you're willing to say no to. No, I'm not going out after 10 p.m. because I value my family time, or I value my sleep, or I value being able to give my family the best of me, not what's left of me on Saturday and Sunday. So he said this, he says, in order to have that extraordinary life, you're going to have to ignore the critics. And that's a lot easier said than done. He said, because he says, most people are actually genuinely unhappy and living a life of regret. And they criticize those going after it only to justify the risks that they were afraid to take. Ordinary people cast judgment only to justify the risks that they didn't take. So average people work hard to keep you with them. And you're going to get that. You're going to get that. And if you want to be extraordinary, you have to do the things that average people find extra. Right? So this framework around here really goes along with oftentimes when we are like, when we look at systems and tactics and strategies in our businesses, we often mistake intensity for productivity and progress. We like to get real busy, and sometimes we spread ourselves here pretty thin. I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to do a little visual. It's story time. How many of you can see my wall of progress here, right? On the other, extraordinary life is at the top. Now, here's what happens, right? We get into real estate and we learn about all these different ways of making money. And it's like we're given this ladder of possibility that says, hey, if you execute on these things, you can have an extraordinary life. And we're like, ooh, cool. And so like, let's say this first ladder is what's a system or a strategy that we like to focus on, or that we coach to here at Leverage Agent Coaching? What are the 4 of the 5 main systems or pillars of business that we focus on? Anybody?
Sphere.
Love it. Right? So let's just say this ladder here is sphere. What's another focus that we work on?
Open houses.
There we go. Open houses. What's another one that we focus on?
FSBOs and expireds.
Ooh, there we go. FSBOs, expireds. What's another one?
Right, social media.
Love it. Look at you guys. It's like you were in my notes. Has anybody seen the rest of my screen? Is there like another screen showing? And here's what happens, right? Like, so here's what we do. You're like, okay, cool. I got all these things. I want to work on all these things. And so this week, what do? You start working on Sphere. So you get really excited and you text a few people. So you throw a rung out there, and then you do one open house. And then for sell by owners and expires, you're like, ooh, I found the list. Now I know who to call. And then social media and video, you're like, I have created a channel, but I didn't post anything. And at the end of the week, you're like, what did you do? You're like, I was so busy. I did all the things. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now what? And you're like, I don't know, but I was really, really busy. And yet, like, have we eclipsed this yet? And what happens though is, so we get so excited with all the different ways we could be building our business, as opposed to what? What if we said for a second, okay, listen, let's know all these things are available, and yet let's put some things in place in order to really start winning and having an extraordinary life. So if we were going to take a look at all 4 of these things and say, okay, where's my number 1 biggest opportunity out of these 4 things? What's my biggest opportunity to generate business?
Focusing on sphere.
Love it. Right. So sphere right here. So like, first rung of the ladder could be, well, all right, I've downloaded my entire list. The next rung of the ladder is like, okay, I've segmented it into the areas. So, and then we're going to, instead of doing open houses, we're going to then now, okay, now we understand who we're going to be calling, texting, mailing, and connecting with on social media. Cool. And instead of doing FSBOs and expires, we're actually going to set up time blocks with scripts, etc. We're going to know what we're going to say, when we're going to say it. And then instead of doing social media video, we're actually going to do it. And then we put together, we plan out our client events or our four different, types of pop buys or in-persons. And then we get those on the calendar and we create a plan for that. And then we commit to executing and then we get accountability. And now all of a sudden, guess what? This area of our life is now beginning to get extraordinary. Now these things that are in place, we can now go, okay, I can manage and maintain this. And so now I can jump over to what's the next area of opportunity for you. For some of you, it may be any one of these 3, but let's just say open houses. So cool. So instead of just doing 1 open house a month, maybe you decide that you're going to do at minimum now, we're going to do 2 a week, no matter what. So that's going to be 8 a month. And then now we're also going to be doing some target marketing before the open houses. Then we're going to start creating some capture tools for when people come in. We're going to have freemiums to give away from them so we can then exchange information. Then we're going to also put together a door knocking strategy around the open house to make sure that all the neighbors know that when this one sells and we've got other offers, there may be people that want to come into that area. Then we're going to actually have a follow-up campaign that's loaded with value for everybody that comes into the open house, that isn't canned, that isn't automated, that's full of value, that's personal, that's going to be relevant to them. And then we're also going to, and then now what? Now how are open houses? Incredible. Right? For sale by owners expires, instead of just getting the list, we're then going to also have creating our unique value propositions. We're going to have follow-up campaigns that are set. We're going to really nail down our scripts for our walkthroughs. We're going to have other types of marketing in place to go and to do, and drips that never fail and don't fall off. We're going to then have maybe a box of value to send their way. We're going to do mailers instead of just text messages. We're going to go a little bit above and beyond to make sure that we get seen, that we get open. And then even better than that, for those that aren't responding or replying, I'm going to drive by and I'm going to actually knock on the door. And now all of, what happened? What the? Where did it go? Oh no, it was so good, it fell off, right? Dang it. Well, do you get the point?
Got the point.
Cool. In order to live an extraordinary life, what do we have to do?
Be extra.
The extra. And it's not necessarily extra when you take a look at the concept of what it takes, right? See, the thing is that in our mind, it's extra, but in regards to the thing, it's just what it takes. It's what's required. See, oftentimes we do what's comfortable, we do what's normal, and we get real tilted when they're like, well, it's just not enough. We do what it takes. Thoughts, ahas, takeaways from this part of the conversation?
I really love this, Matt, because I feel when you were doing all of that and doing all the rungs, it just felt like I felt more organized and at peace when you were like, oh, just each and every rung felt good. Something made Audra laugh.
Yeah, like here's the thing: is like you can have 100 1-foot holes, but you're not going to dig a well. Or if you really need to get water, you got to dig what? 100-foot hole, one hole for 100 feet.
I find myself kind of going exactly what you said right before you did the rungs. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this open house. It's going to be awesome. And it was, and blah, blah, blah. And I'll follow up. And like, I'll follow up like once or twice.
Mhm.
And then, oh God, I've got this expired. I just met with her the other day and we're going to schedule an appointment and it's going to be awesome. And, you know, I'm doing all these social media things and they're cute and they're funny. But I don't post every day.
Yeah.
I tell agents all every day, like you can be, you know, kind of okay at a whole lot of things, or you can be really good at your few things that you really dial in and do those processes and focus on it and make sure you're doing them extraordinarily. And I mean, gosh, I get myself into that thing too, like, oh, I want to try this and that. And then I find myself scattered and there's too much on my plate. And then I feel overwhelmed. I'm like, I'm doing this to myself, right? Instead of just focusing in on these things that I know I'm great at and just getting it done.
Love it. What else do you see there? What like and now taking a look at and reflecting on your business. What are the areas that you're spreading yourself thin in the guise of production, but what it is just managing chaos versus focusing on the one thing that will actually get the needle moving, right? Because if we look at each one of those ladders, every single one of those ladders is a $75,000 to $100,000 ladder. If we just execute and nail and build, now you're not going to get them all done at once, and they're not going to all happen at the same time. And the thing is, I mean, over time, if you spent all year and we're adding one rung to each ladder, you could get all the way to the end and then finally have it start making money. But how many of you can wait 12 months before that happens? As opposed to saying, okay, I'm going to take this month and I'm going to put together, I'm going to execute, I'm going to formulate, I'm going to have all my deliverables in line, ready to go. And by the end of this month, by May 15th, I'm going to have my SOI system absolutely nailed, bulletproof, bulletproof. All the touches, all the scripts, all the text, it's all going to be in one spot. I'm going to scrub all of my contacts. I'm going to finally find those pieces that I'm missing that I've been saying I'm going to get for the last 4 years, and I never do. I'm going to finally go through my LinkedIn. I'm going to finally go through my Facebook. I'm going to finally go through Instagram and start collecting and compiling all that stuff I always said I would, but I'm always too busy, and get it nailed and say, okay, and now it's time to build my 6-figure ladder for this one funnel, for this one pillar. And then once it's done, first of all, how are you going to feel when you finally completed something that inside you've said you were going to do for 10 years, 12 years, 3 years, 5 years, 2 years, whatever it is. However long everybody's on this call is how long it's been since you said you were going to do it, because none of you have done it. Even those of you that said you did it, you started it and you got almost there and you got just far enough away that I left you alone, but you really didn't finish. Let's just agree to agree. And right, how awesome would it be for you to have that nailed? And then now you could take the bandwidth that you had for that and then move it over to the next thing. And then how amazing would it be that you had a $200,000 net income to you business, really only executing on 2 systems? How do you think the agents out there that are generating the things that they're doing are doing it? They're doing it because their systems are absolutely nailed. There's no leaking. Anyone that goes into it goes all the way through, hits every rung along the way. And once it's done, there's no guesswork, there's no remembering, there's no thinking. It takes less energy to execute a fully fleshed out system than trying to remember all the things that you don't have put in place yet just because Audra said it once on a webinar or because Matt harped on it once or twice on a call. we catastrophize the energy that we think it's going to take to put it together, and we underestimate the relief that we're going to get once it's set. And so we'd rather live in chaos. We'd rather control everything. We'd rather never leverage. We'd rather do it all ourselves because it's easier than having to level up and system up. Period. That's the struggle. What got you here is keeping you from here. Your unwillingness to let go of the menial stuff is keeping you from really being a business owner. And another part of the video was simply this. And we talk about this. There's a law around it that we talk about all the time. He goes, you can have excuses or you can have results. And the thing is that your excuses may be valid, and yet it's still your problem. Your excuses may not be your fault, and yet it's still your problem. And in the example that Alex shared in this video, he said, I could have easily said, I'm never going to have a very successful personal relationship because my mom didn't hug me enough. And then he said, first of all, number one, why would I want to give my mom that power over me for the rest of my life? Number two, just because it happened to me and it's not my fault, it's still my problem. I got to fix me. I can't fix her. I can't go back in time. I can't change it. But if I do want a powerful personal relationship, I got to fix my stuff. And I'm not going to let it be about her. And so many of you are letting whatever in your world that's happened to you, your story, which again may not be your fault, it's still your problem. And you're still giving somebody else the power to keep holding you back from what it is that you deserve. Bad choices in the past, mistakes in the past, that's fine. Maybe not your fault. It is your problem. Fix it. It starts with us, right? So all of this stuff, right, goes just back to how different will your life look if you choose to put the energy that you have that you're spreading everywhere into one thing. Build that up. Let that run. Let it perform. And then build another. And then build another. And then once all that's getting up and managing and it's going, now you've got something that you can leverage. Now you're going to have enough coming in systematically, almost automatically, that you're going to need help. And now it's natural for you to grow and expand versus saying, I think if we hire someone, then we'll be busy. Wrong way. What are you hearing? What's the first thing what's the first ladder you're ready to attack? And what do you need help with? You don't have to go alone. You don't have to do this by yourself. If you've identified a ladder and you're like, okay, I get it now. All right, what's next? What's first? What is it? How can all of us on this call help you crush?
I think I'm going to get my sphere straightened out. My database is still a mess. And you're right. We've been on this call for a long time and a lot of great ideas on them, but I don't think, I know personally, I haven't put a whole lot into motion. I am the person that you started with a rung on each ladder or two rungs on the ladders across the board, trying to figure this out. And I'm just going to focus on the sphere. And why is because, two other coaches over the past 2 weeks that I've watched or have had a one-on-one with have said the same exact thing. Focus on one thing and then move on to the next. Become a master of that one thing before moving on to the next, and pick one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with Alan there. We're actually changing our CRM and all our tomorrow. We're going over the new one. So what better time than now? Well, I mean, it should have done it before, but what better time? We're switching, we're doing it. So now's the time to get my sphere in line. That almost rhymes, but anyhow, so now's the
Now
time.
is the time to get the sphere in line.
There you go. We've got a song.
It's Monday's jingle.
What CRM are you moving to? Just out of curiosity.
Brevity. I'm learning more about it tomorrow. So
Cool. Anyone else? What do you need help with? What do you want to tackle? What do you want to hit first?
I think I need to go back to my sphere also. As a new agent, I jumped in and I've been trying to do a little bit of everything to kind of get the ball rolling, but I started slacking on sphere. So I'm with everyone else here.
Look, especially when you're new, I don't think there's anything wrong with you getting a taste of all the options that are out there, right? Like I think you need to try experience all the different ways that we can generate business and find out really what resonates with you. But then you got to go all in on something, right? Like you got to go all in on something and pick one thing, build it out, grow it, and then add to that, right?
I
So
think
good for you.
part of it too was just being so nervous and scared to like reach out to people in my sphere at first. But now that I've been having more conversations, I don't feel as weird like reaching out and having those conversations. So I think it'll be easier and I can add more people to my list.
Yeah. It's only weird at first. And the only way for it not to be weird is by doing it, right? So like if we keep not doing it because it's weird, we're just prolonging the weird. If you want it to be less weird, get through more faster. You actually get to control how long the weird lasts. And the less you do, the longer it lasts. You could have it stop being weird next week by doing 1,000. That's just it. What if I told you you were only 1,000 contacts away from zero weird? How fast would you get through the weird? Or you can spend a majority of your career always feeling weird by only doing 5 a week. And that's more than most agents actually. And everyone's like, yeah, I can't talk to my sphere. It's weird. Yeah, no shit. You've only done 5 a week for your whole career. You've had the same 6 months for 10 years. I say all this with love.
This is also weird because I just recently dug this book out of a box next to me. And this is one of the first books I read in real estate because my sister, who's been an agent for decades, said, make a list of 100 people that you know or have acquaintances with. And those are who you're going to start with to get to that point. And yeah, it's still,
Man, sounds oddly familiar.
that's Brian Buffini, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. He's great, right? He's great. And the thing is all of it works if you work it. And that's the thing is like all of it works when you put all the rungs on the ladder. The moment you try to modify and make it your own before you've actually duplicated it, that's where you're really messing with the results. So, all right, guys, it's 9:31. And because I respect you all and your time, we got to roll. Thanks for being here. If anyone needs, to help identify what those missing rungs to your ladder are, reach out to any one of us. Reach out to us. Let's help you make this April, May, like the time where you're going to build out that ladder like solid to where you can not only rise yourself, but you can bring others with you. Right? When your ladder is strong, you can bring others with you. So, all right, guys, have an amazing week. We'll see you Wednesday, same time, same channel.
Thank
Bye.
you, Matt.